Good evening and salutations, my GH fans. So, let's start off with Alexis and Sunny. Alexis goes to Sunny's to, one, vent about the situation with Christina, and two, try to get some sort of advice if she is, wrong about her assessment, if she thinks that, she's not having enough faith in Christina. And to be honest, everything that she said, she was right about. Right? Now, granted, at the end of the day, her children are grown as adults. They got to sit there and make their mistakes and deal with the consequences. And I think for her, she realizes that the consequences are going to be so bad that it's going to affect the whole family. And as she said it, they're going to have to sit there and be forced to take sides. She feels that Christina really didn't sit there and think about this whole thing. Christina and Molly, well, specifically, Christina didn't really think about this whole thing. There's no legal standing. So, pretty much, Christina could sit there and change her mind almost any point in time and be like, yeah, I want to sit there and take the baby back. She starts saying examples like, what happens if she doesn't like the way that Molly and TJ are raising their child? Anywhere from how she's being fed to maybe how they're even sitting there talking to her. And this is something that TJ is trying to get his doubts and fears out the way. So he goes to Christina and he asks her point blank, are you going to be okay since we are using your egg, and you're much more involved in this child, like you're going to be the biological mother of this child. Can you say with 100% confidence that, you're going to be okay with stepping back once you give birth? Now, Christina tries to assure him that she will do just that. She's like, I have faith in ya. I know I'm doing the right thing. And she keeps just saying that, I don't want to have children right now. I just want to sit there and pretty much do me and maybe down the line or whatever, yada, yada, yada. And it's enough to assure TJ. But the thing is, these are just words. These are just words. And these are words that she's saying right now. And the problem with those words is that feelings may change her mind, later on when, one of the things that Alexis is saying is she may have a harder time, giving up that child once that child is born because she's never had a child. This goes back to my conversation before about they don't usually recommend first time women to be donors because they're going to get attached to the child. There's always a high chance they're going to get attached to the child. So while she says all this stuff now, this is all talk, this is all lip service. Later on down the line, she may feel different about that. And I feel like most likely she will feel different about that. And it's going to cause a huge problem. So this whole talk that she just there doing, oh yeah, I went by Molly told me to go by myself so this way I can, really sit there and talk to you one-on-one, didn't really do anything. It's a temporary band-aid to a future problem that they're going to wind up having. And like I said, I was not a fan of this whole surrogacy storyline, especially because, I had to sit there and deal with a new Christina. But at this point, I'm here for the train wreck. And we all know it's going to be a train wreck. Now, getting into Finn and Liz, they're talking, rehashing once again about the Mondoon case or Mondoon, whatever the hell this guy's name is. And, Finn is thinking worst case scenario. He's already snipped upset about the policy that he's given, have to have somebody shadow him, whenever he does surgeries. And he's talking about how clients are starting to already, switch doctors at this point. So that just gives him an overdrive and thinking about how his career is pretty much going to be over. They get to talking and, they talk about if this guy saw another doctor, while he was traveling and stuff like that. And the idea, this saving grace, which is not really that much of a saving grace, but if this other doctor that treated him didn't catch his cancer, then it gives more validity to the fact that he couldn't catch it. Doctors aren't perfect, and of course, you know, cancer and it's a triggering word for a lot of different people. So, if they could sit there and be like, hey, well, if this doctor didn't see it, then, I mean, come on now. We can't sit there and test, we can't sit there and see everything. Then it gives him a slimmer of hope. I'm going along with this ride at this point because, one, ever since Liz and Finn got together, I generally just didn't care. And I'm glad that they're giving him some sort of story. I mean, it's not the best because we never got to once sit there and see how this whole thing started. It feels like they just kind of just threw in this story, just be like, oh, this is a good idea now, but they didn't sit there and set up the roadblocks, the building blocks to actually build this up. And I think what would actually probably help this a little bit is if we saw a family member actually confront Finn, show some tears, show some emotions, show some anger, and be like, why did you do this? Why did you let my dad die? And yada yada yada, something to get us a little bit more invested instead of just having these same rehash conversations with him and Liz. So it's not exactly the best, but at this point, when it comes to Liz and Finn, I'll take what I can get. Now, if you saw the previews yesterday, you know that Olivia asked Lois, like, did you ever had a problem with me marrying your ex husband? And granted, she does sit there and tell Lois that because Lois is like, what? Wait, what? What are you talking about? I haven't actually had feelings for this guy in a long time. Like, where is this coming from? And of course, Olivia letting Tracy get in her head tells her the only reason I'm bringing this up is because Tracy got in my head. But you stop and you think about this, and I'm like, they haven't been together in years, right? Now I understand that it's I put it this way. This is probably the one thing that's always bugged me in the show called This Is Us. That Jack and this other guy, Miguel, were practically like brothers. And Jack died. Miguel wound up marrying his wife. And it was always the one thing that I was just like, I don't understand how you could just sit there and cross that line. So I'm trying to give, when I'm sitting there looking at this scenario, I'm trying to give it almost the same amount of attention. Problem is, you never really saw them being friends prior to her just jumping on the show now. But I guess it's a little bit different for me because it's like, it happened a long time ago. Like, why are you just bringing this up now? You know? Anyway, they squashed that whole thing. And, Lois brings up the fact that, Ned has changed a little bit, when he's around Quartermaines. And, he was the person that ratted out, Drew and Michael and the family and stuff like that. Now, Olivia, kind of reacting without really thinking about it, defends Ned and is like, no, he's not the one that did it. He's just taking the fall to keep the peace. Which, again, this is so dumb. She doesn't sit there and say, oh, by the way, it was Nina that ratted them out. But she's like, just for the sake of family and unity, we just think they're keeping the peace. Olivia swears that she's not going to say anything, but I mean, let's be honest. It's a soap opera, so she's going to slip up. Okay, she's going to slip up. And I even, I look at this and it's like, even from Olivia's point of view, Olivia has known Sonny since they were children. I'm like, Olivia, I get that you want Sonny to be happy, But do you really want him to be happy with somebody like her that will literally sit there and practically throw the mother of his children in jail for whatever odd reason and betray Sonny? Like, is that somebody you really want to sit there and see Sonny being with? So this whole unity thing is like, if you were really a concerned friend, you would sit there and say something. Yeah, it's gonna hurt now, it's gonna be a blow up now, but it's better that Sonny knows who he's really dealing with. Instead of just letting him live in this fairy tale that he's in love with this great woman and she's not really so great. To do something like that out of whatever emotional reaction. That's my whole issue with Olivia in this case, and the same thing with Michael. Is like, how do you sit there and support this marriage knowing who she really is? You love your dad. Okay, and I think the final scene that we're gonna sit there and talk about is of course the home and heart stuff that went on. Lucy sitting there plotting with Scotty to fake a fight so this way, he can get closer to Tracy. I'm I didn't watch it back in the day, so I don't know how Tracy and Scotty ever wound up hooking up. I don't see it. I really don't. Um, Not like my opinion is super low of Scotty. I just like, really, boo? Really? So yeah, they want to sit there and fake a fight, and eventually they do. Um, Over something super trivial like Cody wearing a hat if he should wear a hat if he shouldn't wear a hat, and Tracy being like, oh, he shouldn't wear a hat, and she's all like, oh, she should wear a hat. Um, Scotty comes up to her later on and apologizes for bringing up the whole Luke thing. Um, like, hey, you made a good point, and I can see why you're running the company or something like that. Some sort of compliment that he gave her and walked off. I feel like this is going to work. I feel like he's going to sit there and charm Tracy, just because the plot demands it. But in all reality, I just don't. I don't see it. I don't see it. Um, Felicia's there, and Cody's getting all skittish and stuff. And at some point, Felicia gets a comb that the stylist whatever was using to brush Cody's hair, and gets the guy whatever to rush it off to the lab to sit there and do another DNA test. And at some point, Sasha talks to her and sees what she probably wound up doing. So Sasha is going to be working overtime to sit there and try to help out Cody because Cody helped us. Cody helped Sasha. We got the original Maxi back. I'm not gonna lie. Here's the thing. Some people were flipping out so much online yesterday about the temporary recast. Like, I don't understand. They were just really angry, and people were just like, it was only for one day. Like, relax. It was literally for one day. Um, she didn't really do much in this episode, to be honest. So it's like she could have been there and not been there, and it really wouldn't have made a difference. Um, yeah. Let me just double check my notes. Anyway, I feel like that's about it. I can't really think of anything else that wound up happening. But as always, I do sit there and say if I missed anything, come to the live stream tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We'll sit there and talk about all the shows, General Hospital, Days of Our Lives, Born the Beautiful, Young and the Restless. Anything that I missed, we'll sit there and go over it. Any questions, any thoughts want my opinions on as far as the shows or whatever is concerned, we'll sit there and talk about that during the live stream. One of the many reasons why I actually love doing the live stream, besides just talking to people and getting to know them and stuff like that, is that there's sometimes I may sit there and miss something, or if you have a specific thing you want to sit there and ask me about this person, this scenario, this story, that story, whatever, we sit there and talk about it. So I always encourage people to sit there and come to the live streams as well. Yeah. Anyway, with that being said, I'm gonna go. I will see you in the next video. Or hopefully live stream. I'll be live streaming tonight for an hour and a half, so definitely come through.